Welcome back, it's me, Lou. Today is going to be a special video as we take a look at the Joker. Alright, so with the upcoming release of McFarlane's Joker later this spring, I thought it'd be fun to take a look at some previous Joker action figures that we've gotten throughout the years. McFarlane is going to be tackling the Heath Ledger Joker from Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight film. The Dark Knight came out way back in 2008. Heath Ledger gave the performance of a lifetime as the Joker, and fans are just really excited to get a McFarlane version of that beloved character. So right here in front of me, we have two different versions of the Heath Ledger Joker. On our left, we have the NECA action figure, and then on the right over here, we have the Mattel. All right, so I am not going to unbox the Mattel one. I do have it loose somewhere in my house. I just don't know where it is right now. But at the very least, we're just going to look at this figure and review it the best that we could as it's in the box. The NECA figure over here, we will unbox and review thoroughly. All right, let's get started. Okay, so this figure here belongs to the Dark Knight collection put out by Mattel. It kind of falls in under Mattel's Movie Masters line. Movie Masters was Mattel's like premium action figure in the 6-inch scale. At the time, they were also producing the DC Classics, DC Extended Universe line of action figures, or DC Multiverse line of action figures. The Movie Masters tackled the live action properties, and they kind of like raised the bar somewhat in terms of the overall presentation, the sculpting, and the painting and articulation of the figures compared to the Classics line. I was very fond of the Dark Knight stuff, especially this line in particular. The package design I thought was amazing. This is something that companies wouldn't even attempt to do nowadays just because of all the plastic involved. You know, there's this crazy plastic cutout here, and you have the Dark Knight and the bat logo floating above the cardboard backer. You know, you have this incredible illustration of Christian Bale as Batman. The figures came with like these evidence bags, and in this case, it came with a Joker card. I found this figure 6 months ago at my local half-price books, and it was only $9.99, and I couldn't say no to that price, especially considering this is in pretty pristine condition. The only thing is, I think one of the corners is a little dog-eared, and I still have to kind of remove the adhesive film from the price tag. I just noticed that just now. On the back, you have an image of the figure, and then there were some other figures in this specific wave. There was the unmasked Batman. That was the chase figure. I remember these were really hard to come by. I mean, hence that's why they call them chases. There was the thugs, the Joker thugs, and then there was the Batman. All these kind of like small little heads were included in the evidence bag. So you get the Joker mask and then the Batman masks. Incredible line of action figures. You know, I think even though, these figures are, like 15 years old, they still hold a very special place in my heart. I think they're just amazing, and it's really a sign of the times also. As much as I'm excited for the upcoming McFarlane release, for me, I think there's something to be said about buying the actual action figures from that time period when the movie came out, if that makes any sense. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm excited, and I've been saying it in previous videos that I'm looking forward to McFarlane tackling some of the previous live action films, especially the Christopher Nolan, Batman films. But for me, once I get those McFarlane Dark Knight trilogy figures, I'm still gonna like really hold on to these older ones, just because these were the figures that came out during that time period. It'll be great to get the McFarlane ones, with the updated action figure engineering, the improved like sculpting and paint application, and the larger scale, but I still think there's something to be said about buying the actual figure from, that specific time period. I think that's why there's so many Star Wars collectors who are enamored with the original Kenner line of action figures, even though nowadays, with the Black Series and with like the vintage collection, it's really set the bar higher in terms of like, what's a really awesome Star Wars figure. But if you grew up during that time period when the movies came out and you have those original toys, I think you're always going to have, that sentimentality towards them. And much like me, once the McFarlane figures come out, I'll be excited, cash in hand, I'll be ready to buy them. But at the same time, these older figures are always going to have a special place in my heart. The articulation's a little archaic, as you can see here. It's missing an ab crunch. The joints, the pin is gigantic, and it's only single jointed at the elbow. But, the sculpting is still well done. The presentation is amazing, especially, this card art. I don't think any of McFarlane's action figures, period, in terms of the package design, can like match up to this. This is really a beautiful piece. So yeah, this is a great figure. I gotta find the loose one. It's somewhere. It's probably in the box somewhere with the rest of my DC figures. But yeah, I can't recommend this figure enough. If you're ever at a comic book convention or a collectible toy store and you find this for a decent price, pull the trigger on it. It might not be up to par with like a modern figure, but I think there's something to be said about buying the actual piece from that time period. All right, so now let's take a look at this. We have the NECA Joker over here. This also portrays the Heath Ledger Joker from the live-action 2008 film. Beautiful figure. Now, there's something about this figure. So I bought this figure some months ago also. I got this used from a collectible toy store. And even though it looks like the real deal, I think this might be a knockoff. And the reason why I say that is because, for one, in terms of the package design, everything here looks very pixelated. It's almost as if this is just a scanned image of the actual box. So if you look, the text is really fuzzy. You can see all the pixels, even around the logo. The figure itself, even though it does look like the NECA one, the paint on the coat versus the paint on the sleeves, they don't even come close to one another. It's almost like two completely different shades of purple. So and if you jump on eBay, you'll find like a bunch of these. So I have a reason to believe that this figure here is actually a knockoff of the original NECA one. But we're gonna take a look at it anyways. Because there are some knockoffs. The actual figures might be just as good as the original, but in other cases, not so much. All right, so this guy, here's the insert. It has the crazy Joker face that we saw in the film. It's very scribbly. The figure comes with some accessories here. Comes with a pistol, a knife, a larger gun, and then here is the Joker. And this is pretty beat up because, like I said, I bought this used, so this has been previously opened. So here we have what I believe is a bootleg of the NECA Joker. So NECA released a line of Batman action figures at this scale. And this is about, how tall is this? I think this is a 7-inch scale action figure. Or, all right, maybe not. This figure stands in at almost 6 3/4. For a size comparison, real quick, here's a Diamond Select Alfred figure from the live-action Gotham show. Shorter than the Diamond Select figure, and then it's going to be much shorter than the McFarlane-designed Batman. The sculpting on this, even though it's a knockoff, it's pretty sharp. It's not like the sculpting is kind of muddy or soft. If this is a knockoff, the sculpting is pretty spot on to the original. The paint's kind of it's kind of a mixed bag. In some places it's really nice, other places it's kind of sloppy. But like I said, this potentially might be a knockoff. But the sculpting on this, incredibly sharp. The paint application is pretty decent also, because you had this kind of like wash applied to like really bring out the crevices and wrinkles and folds. Likewise on the vest, you know, nice ink wash applied there. Has like a real chain, which is a cool accessory. So it's not a sculpt, it's actually like a real physical chain. I dig that a lot. In terms of this articulation, his head swivels, arms rotate. Do they go out? They go out. Single pinned elbow, elbow swivel, articulated wrists. There is no ab crunch. Swivel at the waist. Legs kick up. They go out also. Single joint knee, and this is kind of tight. Having a hard time bending it. And articulated toes. And the hand is popped off. Alright, so this plugs back in. So yeah, I have reason to believe that this is a complete knockoff of the NECA figure. So as I was talking about earlier, NECA had their own line of Batman figures. Some were from the live action movie. Others, like the Harley Quinn, was from the Arkham Asylum video game. I think those came out back in 2014 or 2015, I think, if I have my dates right. And I think in the States, I think they were available at Toys R Us. And I think also maybe exclusively through the Warner Brothers website, I think. It's been like such a long time ago. But yeah, here we have the Heath Leather Joker, the NECA version, and this one here might be a potential knockoff. So yeah, you know, I'm pretty excited about the McFarlane figure. But you know, I'm always gonna be very fond of the original Mattel one. You know, it of course it's not in the same league as the McFarlane, but like I said, you know, there's something to be said about buying the actual figure from that time period of when the movie came out. And you know, the package design, the presentation is just amazing. You know, you're not going to see something like this nowadays, especially with all the companies going plastic-less on all the boxes. You know, there's no more plastic windows on a majority of a lot of toys. All right, so let's wrap this one up. Once again, my name is Lou. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning viewer, subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. I greatly appreciate it. So until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I'll see you at the next one. All right, later.